So let's have a seat and get nice and aligned so that we can check in. I want you to make sure that you can feel your sit bones, and kind of like when we're in mountain pose, you want to have ears over shoulders over hips. So nice straight spine, shoulders relaxed. Let's close our eyes, take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. And just take a moment and feel into your body. And as you feel all the different parts of you, start to deepen your breath. If you're comfortable with that restricted nose breath that we do for Ujjayi, that would be best. And then just check in with any thought patterns, any emotions. Notice what your energy is like. And then let's go ahead and bring palms together in front of our hearts, and we'll set our intentions for practice today. When you're clear on your intention, take a deep breath in. Big exhale. And then just remain seated. If you're cross-legged, hands can be on the knees. If your legs are extended, you can just kind of tuck your hands under your thighs, or you can even have your hands by your side. So our emphasis today is going to be the mid-back, the thoracic spine. We often work on our neck or on our low back because that's where we feel the most. A lot of times the issues actually originate in the mid-back because it's all connected, of course. We have a tendency to hunch over our computers or our phones or a number of other things, and so the mid-back can get tight and affect the neck and lower back. So we're going to be working on thoracic spine today. So we're going to loosen that a little bit before we ever leave a seated position, and we're going to do that with a seated cat-cow. So chin stays parallel to the floor. Don't let your head whip back and forth. Just inhale and push your chest forward, and as you exhale, pull your chest back. Inhale, press it forward. Exhale, pull it back. We'll do that a couple more times. And so as you're doing this, your thoracic spine, there are 12 vertebrae that make up your thoracic spine. But for all intents and purposes for you today, just kind of like your little marker of where that is, it's where your ribs attach. So you can think of it like from your collarbone to the bottom of the rib cage. That's kind of what we're working today. And then pause, and we're just going to do a really simple twist. I'll mirror you guys today. So you're going to go to the right, this direction. You're going to bring your right hand behind you, left hand on the right knee, lift the chest, and gently twist. So when we do our twists in a seated position, we can kind of keep the pelvis really stationary, and it makes it much more of a true spinal twist. Now, as you're here, I'd like you to go ahead and try and twist a little deeper. First from around your navel, so that's your lumbar spine. Then go ahead and turn your head a little farther to the right. And then lift up through the crown of the head and see if now a little more from that thoracic area. And then come back around, and we'll twist to the left. So you're gonna bring your left hand behind you, right hand on your left knee, lift your chest. Let's go ahead and start the twist from the navel. So that's your lumbar spine, more or less. And then as you turn your head to look over your right shoulder, that's your cervical spine, that's your neck. Now let's lift up through the crown of the head and see if we can twist a little more from the thoracic area. By the way, that's the area of your spine that has the least mobility. All your ribs are attached to it. Come back around. Roll your shoulders back a couple of times, and then transition onto hands and knees. And now we'll do full on cat-cows. And so, of course, on this one, the head is moving. So as you inhale, you're dropping your navel down, raising the head, looking up, lifting the tailbone. And as you breathe out, you're rounding your back, dropping the head, dropping the tailbone. Inhale and arch, and exhale and round. Really keep your focus on that mid-back or midsection area of your torso. And then on your next exhale, we're going to be doing 2 child's poses this morning. Actually, it's afternoon. Sorry, I'm still stuck in the morning. I want you to go ahead and do traditional first if you can. Knees and feet are together. Backside comes to heels. Hands slide back by your feet. Palms up. Forehead comes to the mat. So your back should feel pretty rounded here. I want you to kind of come back to awareness of that thoracic area, the backside of your rib cage, and really breathe into that. You should feel that area is quite prominent right now because your back is rounded. Then we're going to do extended child's pose. Keep your feet together, but separate your knees. Let your hands reach out in front of you on the mat, forehead down, and the chest just kind of sinks. And again, come back to awareness of that mid part of your torso. In this position, it's a little more extended, not rounded. And so breathe into it again here. And then we're just going to scoot forward into a very extended Sphinx. We're going to do it twice as well. So come onto your belly, big toes touching, heels separated. But first, I want you to extend your arms quite a bit farther out in front of you than you normally do. So you can easily see your elbows in front of you. Keep your glutes relaxed. Go ahead and pull the chest forward. And then we'll do a little more extension. Elbows are going to come a little farther back so they're under the shoulders. Lift the chest and pull forward again. And then from here, we'll take our first downward facing dog. And of course, you can move around a little bit if you like. So wiggling if you need to, or pedaling the feet. And then just really reaching the tailbone back, stretch it back. And I want you to drop to hands and knees again. So we're going to get a little more free-flowing movement at our thorax now. So what I'd like you to do is make sure your left hand is firmly planted. You're going to bring your right hand behind your head. As you inhale, just to the best of your ability, take your right elbow up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, bring your right elbow down to touch the inside of your left elbow. Inhaling, rotating up. Exhaling and rotating back down. Let's do that 2 more times. So what you're doing here is twisting and opening your thorax. As you finish that last one out, just plant your right hand. If you want to wiggle your shoulders, you can, of course. And then we're going to take the left hand to the back of the head. As you inhale, left elbow reaches up. As you exhale, left elbow comes to touch inside of the right one. Inhale, rotating up. Exhaling, rotating down. 2 more times. And as you finish that out, plant your left hand. Wiggle if you need to. And again, turn toes under, back into downward facing dog. Really stretch the hips up and back. Stay in this very lengthened position. And then if you can, you're going to bring your left hand under you and grab the outside of your right thigh or right calf and kind of twist and look under that right armpit while you're still pressing your hips back. Bring the left hand back down. Right hand reaches under you to grab left thigh or calf. Look under your left armpit while you're still reaching the hips up and back. Right hand comes back down. Walk your feet forward, keeping your knees bent, and hang in ragdoll. Make sure your knees are bent a little bit. You really want your head to just dangle. So the hamstrings are relaxed. Your back is what's lengthening. And then inhale. Reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Look up if that's all right with your neck. Lift your chest up a little bit. And if it feels okay, maybe even roll it back slightly. And we're going to hold this for 3 more breaths. On your next exhale, go ahead and fold all the way forward, fingertips down. Look up halfway and lengthen, and then back down. Step back with your left foot. Just come into your lunge for a moment. And then we're going to drop the left knee down. Bring the arms up and overhead. Go ahead and tilt the pelvis and let the hips go forward. So get that left hip to begin opening. And then, only as much as it works for you, I'd like you to lift your rib cage up and slightly roll it back. If it's all right with your neck, look up. So you'll notice this is the opposite of slumping or hunching or rounding the back. Come back up to just vertical, neutral, palms together if it's all right with your body. Take your left elbow just barely outside the right knee. Push into your palms. I want length from your tailbone to the base of your skull. And you're going to twist and look over that right shoulder. Bring your hands down on either side of your right foot. Gaze forward and extend the right leg. And then once you get your hamstring stretched situated, just notice what's going on in your body. So a lot of times people have shoulders by ears, head is dropped down, back is really rounded. It's hard not to get a little bit of a rounded back here, but do your best to lift your chest and your gaze. If you'll look forward rather than down, it changes your posture. You can pull your heart forward a little bit and keep the shoulders away from the ears. And again, you'll feel something that's quite different from hunching and rounding. Take one more breath. And then bring your right knee back to meet your left knee. Those of you taking traditional vinyasas, please feel free to take off now. The rest of us are going to take a child's pose. And by the way, you can take either traditional or extended, whichever one of those felt better for you. If you're with me, see if you can scoot forward into a low cobra. So we want the big toes to touch and the heels to come close together. It's different from Sphinx. Hands are under the shoulders. We roll the shoulders down and back and pin the elbows to our sides. And just lift up a little bit, and again, gaze forward. And then downward facing dog. Now we'll take a big step forward with the left foot. Hold your lunge for a couple of breaths. Drop your right knee down. Raise the arms overhead, tilt your pelvis back. Let the hips move forward till you feel the stretch at the front of the right hip. Then you start to lift your rib cage up and maybe roll it back a little bit. And if you can, you look up. If that bothers your neck, you keep your head neutral. Come on back up, bring palms together. Prayer twisting to the left. If you can, you barely hook that right elbow outside your left knee or thigh. Push into the palms, lengthen your spine, and you look over your left shoulder. Hands on either side of the left foot. And we go ahead and extend the left leg, flex the ankle and toes. Get the hamstring stretch going on, and then we work on our posture. Remember, gaze forward, not down, but forward. Pull the shoulders down the back. Let the heart move forward a little bit. And then go ahead and step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're going to go ahead and do a nice deep standing side bend. You've kind of got some stuff loosening up in there. And again, I'll mirror you, so we'll all be going the same direction for a change. I want you to reach up and grab your left wrist with your right hand. You're going to push through your left foot and you're going to lean to your right. Now, the more you pull on your left arm and push through your left foot, the more you're going to feel the stretch on that left side of your torso. Use your breath, and you'll notice what you're opening with your breath here is the left side of your rib cage, which is attached to the thoracic spine. Come on back up, and we switch sides. So you're going to grab your right wrist with your left hand, pull on it, push through the right foot, lean to your left, continuing to pull on the wrist, breathing very deeply into your right rib cage. Come on back up, release the arms, and roll your shoulders back. Feet together, palms together. We're going to inhale, reach the arms up. Look up if you can. Bend your knees, poke your tailbone back, lift your chest a little higher. And straighten your legs and fold forward. Look up halfway and lengthen. And then back down. We're going to step back with the left foot. Spin the heel flat, adjust your feet as necessary, and come up into warrior one. So your arms are overhead, you're facing forward, your right knee is bent, your left leg is straight. Go ahead and lift your chest up. Open the arms out to the side, palms facing up. If it's okay with your neck, you're actually looking up. Then you're going to bend your elbows and start bringing them down as though you were going to touch them behind you. You won't, but that's the idea. You'll feel your shoulder blades squeeze together and pull down the back. Come on up from that. Rotate your palms where they face down and bring your arms in front of you. You're going to take your left arm over the right arm. Right arm's on bottom, left arm is on top. And see if you can come into the hand position for eagle pose, Garudasana. Shoulders are going to pull down. Elbows lift up and push forward. Now, if you can, you lift off for the full pose. The left thigh tightly crosses the right thigh. We drop our tailbone down and lift our chest up. Unwind that left leg and take it back. Warrior one, arms are overhead. And we'll take the hands to the mat and step straight back to downward facing dog for a moment. Just stretch. And then those of you doing full vinyasas, off you go. The rest of us are going to drop to our knees and take a child's pose. And then scoot forward from child's pose into either Sphinx or Cobra. Please be mindful that either one of those, your gaze should be forward, not down. And then downward facing dog. And then we're going to step forward with our left foot, spin the right heel flat, And come up into warrior one on the left side. So just find your stance, your strength, and your stability first. And then let the arms open out to the side, palms up. If you can, you lift the chest. If you can, you look up. Then we start to bend the elbows and bring them down, and as though we would squeeze them together behind our back. Bring the torso back up, bring the hands, palms down in front of you. This time the left arm is on bottom. You're taking your right arm over the left. Palms touch, shoulders pull down, elbows lift and press forward. If you can, you finish the pose, right thigh over left. And you remember, you drop your tailbone, lift your heart. Unwind that right leg, step it back, warrior one. Take your hands to the mat, step straight back, downward facing dog. Either a regular vinyasa or a modified vinyasa. So if you're with me, you're in child's pose. And then either Sphinx or Cobra with the gaze forward. And then downward facing dog. So from downward facing dog, we're gonna drop to the knees again. And now we're gonna go through all three phases of threading the needle. And the reason I'm telling you in advance is because you don't have to do all three phases. When you're happy, you stop where you're at and you don't do any more. So we're gonna start with the right side. This time keeping the arms straight. Inhale, right arm up towards the ceiling, thoracic twist. Exhale, right arm underneath you. Relax the neck. Use your left hand where it's at to press and roll into that right shoulder blade area. This is phase one. It's an awesome place to stay if you want to. Phase two is to take the left hand towards the ceiling. Phase three, if you want to go deeper, is to extend your left leg. Have it straight, flat foot like a kickstand, and that allows you to roll open and twist even more. Come on out of that. If you need to wag your tail, of course you may do so. And then we'll do the left side. So I want you to inhale, left arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, scoop it underneath and rest on that left shoulder. Make sure your neck is relaxed. Right hand stays where it was. You press with that right hand and you kind of roll into the left shoulder blade. If you want to go to phase two, you take the right hand to the ceiling. And this is plenty, by the way, you guys. Only if you're feeling it should you extend your right leg out with the foot flat, like a kickstand, and roll the heart open even more. So it's just a deeper thoracic twist, right? You're twisting around the ribcage area. Come on out of that. Give yourself a good tail wag. And then we're going to extend the right leg, flex the ankle, and lift it. Extend your left arm. Now, here's the deal on this. Again, to get the posture right, you need to gaze forward, not down. Chest is forward. Raise that left arm. Raise that right leg. Get some real action going here in the back. And take one more breath. And then bring your left hand and your right knee back down. Left leg extends, flex the foot, raise it into the air, raise your right arm into the air, and then gaze forward. Lift your chest, lift that right arm and the left leg. Bring it all back down. Give yourself a little tail wag. And now you're just gonna take both feet to the right. Knees stay where they are. Look over your right shoulder until you can see your left heel. Really poke that left rib cage out. Take a couple of breaths. And then take both of your feet all the way over to the left. Look over your left shoulder till you can see your right heel. Poke that right rib cage out. Couple of deep breaths here. Bring the feet back to the center. Keeping feet together, separate the knees. Come into that extended child's pose again. So your buns go to your heels. Your arms are extended out in front of you and you get your forehead to the mat. And you kind of let your chest sink a little bit too. Take a breath here. And then without moving anything other than your rib cage, poke your rib cage to the right as you inhale, back to center as you exhale, poke your rib cage to the left as you inhale, back to center as you exhale. Do that one more time on each side. And then scoot forward into a nice elongating Sphinx. Even in your Sphinx, big toes touching, heels separated, gaze forward. So a lot of times people get lazy, they sink into their shoulders and drop their head. The entire spine is connected, you guys, from the base of your skull to your tailbone. What you do at one end affects everything up or downstream. So we want to have the chest and the gaze pointing forward. Shoulders are down the back, and then we're pulling length into the spine. And then moving into one final downward facing dog. Fingers spread, reaching the hips up and back. And then you can walk your feet forward and have a seat in Dandasana. So same alignment cues as at the beginning of class. Ears over shoulders over hips. And then we want our legs very active. So just taking a moment here to check in. Check in with your whole body. Check in with your breath. Thought patterns, emotions, energy. And then we're going to keep our hands on the floor, but they can be relaxed. They can be wherever you want them to be. So like I've been cueing you in the other poses, gaze and heart forward, not down. I want you to just start pushing the center of your chest towards the top of your feet. So your head stays level, like your face continues to point forward as you lengthen the rib cage over the legs. Doesn't matter how far you get, the chest and the gaze stay forward. Take a couple of breaths. And then come on up from that. You can keep your legs extended or you can cross them. It's up to you. We're going to do a little bit of a different kind of seated side bend. And the idea behind this is to get the lats to stretch, your latissimus dorsi. You can think of it as the backside of your armpit, right? This all attaches at the thoracic spine. So again, I'll mirror you. You're going to take your right hand behind your head. And you're going to go ahead and take that right elbow towards the ceiling. Then put your left hand on the ground, but not too far out. I want you to start, rather than leaning to get your side bend, what I want you to do is start pushing that right rib cage out to the right. Really push it over. You'll start to feel the stretch. And then start reaching that right elbow more towards the ceiling. So you're actually kind of pushing with your left hand to get that right rib cage stretch. And then on your next inhale, see if you can roll that elbow open towards the ceiling And as you exhale, you're gonna bring your right elbow to your left knee. Inhale, take that elbow up towards the ceiling. You're still poking the right rib cage to the right. Exhale, take your elbow to your knee. One more time, inhale, elbow reaches up. You should feel this in the armpit, kind of. And then exhale, elbow to knee. Come on back up, release your right arm, roll your shoulders back. Left hand behind the head. I'm just gonna take your right hand to the ground, not too far out though. And we start the side bend rather than just leaning over and putting weight on that hand. We wanna push the left rib cage out to the left and reach that left elbow for the ceiling. And then you can kind of start pushing through your right hand. So the left rib cage is pushing out, elbows reaching up, you're breathing. And then the next time you inhale, rotate that left elbow back and up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, left elbow to right knee. Inhale, reach it up and back. Rib cage is still poking out. Exhale, bring it down. One more time, inhale. Reach it up and back, and then exhale, elbow to knee, and release, and roll your shoulders back. Good. From here, I'm actually going to have you go ahead and roll onto your back. We're going to play with some more stuff on the back. So we'll hug your knees in, rock side to side. And we're going to do a really different kind of gentle spinal twist here. However, it's going to have to do with your arm motions primarily for the thoracic spine. So go ahead and put your feet flat on the mat, knees are bent. I want you to open your arms out like a T with your palms facing up. This is similar to something I've had you do before, but we'll be like playing with movement the whole time. So I'm going to start with my left arm. My palm is facing up. I'm going to try and keep the back of my hand on the floor and my arm straight as I start to raise my arm up and over my head. Now, as I get to about the top of my head, my palm kind of wants to start rotating down, and I'm going to let it because I'm going to bring it all the way over my head and around and kind of roll onto my right side. And now my palms are touching. And then I'm going to return the journey. I'm going to take the left arm up and over my head as I roll onto my back and allow the back of the hand to come to the floor as I wind up where I started on my back with my arms open like a T. Now the right arm, I'm sliding it along the floor. Back of the hand is brushing the floor, arm is straight. About the time it gets over my head, I start to flip my hand and roll a little onto my left side. And my right palm touches my left, and then I do the return journey. Arm is reaching up and overhead, coming all the way back around is on my back with my arms out like a T. So we're gonna do this a couple more times in each direction. I want you to just kind of feel your way through it. If you have shoulder injuries, honor that. If it feels pretty good, you just keep at it. All right, so off you go. The arm is coming up and overhead. You're circling around, you kind of wind up in a little bit of a twist at the end, but then the arm is coming back and up. And I want you to feel the action in the mid-thorax as you're doing this. So this isn't just, oh, my shoulders. As you're bringing that arm up, your lat is stretching, your rib cage is stretching, and as you come around, there's that thoracic or mid-back twist and rotation. So just kind of notice what's going on in thoracic spine as you continue this movement. Let's go one more time on each side. Make sure you've got plenty of time to feel this yumminess. It should actually feel really good, by the way. Again, it's kind of the antidote to so much of what we do in a forward bending motion. As you finish out, you can just hug your knees in, rock side to side. So go ahead and place the feet flat on the mat. We're going to come into bridge, but we're going to really emphasize the rib cage lift. So even if you have back issues and you don't like to lift up too high, that's fine. You can keep the hips neutral today. It's all about the thoracic spine or the rib cage. And we're going to play with arm position too. So start with your hands flat, palms down by your bum, and then go ahead and lift your hips however much you're going to. It doesn't have to be a huge lift, but we want the hips to lift because then we're going to focus on lifting the rib cage. Now, you can think of this a couple of ways. You can think about your chest moving towards your chin. I like to actually feel the bottom part of my rib cage, take my hands up and grab the bottom part of my rib cage and lift it. You're working on getting the rib cage to lift as much as you possibly can. Now, hands or palms down. If it's all right with your shoulders, you very slightly roll and just tuck your shoulder blades underneath you. So you're actually on the back of the arms. Some of you will want to interlace your fingers here. That's fine, but you don't have to. You want your arms straight. You want to feel as though your shoulder blades are pinned together and you keep lifting the rib cage. It's more important to lift the rib cage today than the hips. 2 more breaths. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower down. When your backside hits the ground, untuck your shoulder blades. Get lots of space between your shoulders. And then hug your knees in and rock side to side. So we'll keep the right knee hugged in and extend the left leg all the way onto the floor. Just hug that right knee deep for a couple of breaths. And then go ahead and interlace your fingers over that right knee or shin. So what we're going to do is keep the hands there, but start to move the knee away from the torso and continue to do that until the upper and mid back lifts just a little bit. Back of the head stays on the ground. I want you to focus on the back of your rib cage. So depending upon how much you're up, you may have half of it down and half of it off the ground. Just see how that feels. And then hug the right knee back in, get the whole upper mid back onto the ground. And we're going to transition this into a twist. If you can, you'll hook the toes of your right foot on the inside or behind left knee or thigh. Now, if that's too much for you, just let that right leg flop over. Open your right arm out to the right, just like we did earlier. Palm is facing up. Use your left hand on your right thigh to pull yourself over until you start to feel this not only as a spinal twist and a rib cage opener, but as a little bit of a front shoulder opener. And then if you would like, you can do that same sort of movement that we did, like half of it. If you want to, feel free to play with that right arm, almost like you're doing half of a snow angel. You can play with that range of motion. Or you can just do that till you find the sweet spot and go, oh, right there, and then leave your hand there. Your choice. We're here for a few more breaths. I want you to be really mindful as you're doing all of this, of course, the side of the rib cage. So from the bottom of your rib cage, which you can probably feel with your fingers, up to your armpit, I want you to really inflate that area on the right side of your body with your breath. And if you can, by the way, your head turns to the right. One more breath on this side. And then come on to your back, hug your right knee in again. Good squeeze. Bring the left knee up to meet it. Rock side to side. And then we're going to keep the left knee hugged in. Extend your right leg all the way out onto the ground. Give that left knee a good hug. And then interlace the fingers over the left knee or shin. And let's start to press that leg away from the torso. Arms are straightening until we feel the upper and part of the mid back lifting. And flatten yourself back out again. Hug the left knee in. And again, coming into our twist, if possible, your left toes are going to hook on the right thigh or behind the right knee. Your left arm opens out to the left, and I want you to use your right hand on the left leg to pull it over as you come into your twist. If hooking the toe is too much for you, let that leg just kind of flop over. But once you've found your way into your twist, head turning to the left, being mindful of left side of the rib cage. Feel free to play with the angle of that left arm, maybe even making like the left half of a snow angel, or maybe it's a carpet angel or a tile angel, depending upon your floor. We just kind of play with that until you find the sweet spot, or you can continue that movement. And pay particular attention to breathing in from your left armpit to the very bottom of your rib cage. One more breath here. Then go ahead and roll onto the back. Hug your left knee in. Bring your right knee up to meet it and rock side to side. Extend your legs all the way out onto the mat. Extend both of your arms overhead. Walk your feet just a tiny bit over to the right corner of the mat. And then you're going to pick your right foot up and hook the right heel on top of your left leg. That keeps it from moving back over. Then I want you to grab your left wrist. This is really similar to what we did standing, but obviously we're lying down. You're going to move your arms a little to the right, move your rib cage a little to the left. Everything stays on the ground, by the way. Both shoulder blades should be touching the ground. Pull on your left wrist, push your left rib cage out to the left, and take a couple of deep breaths. So this is often called banana pose or banana asana. It's a nice stretch, not only for the left side of the thoracic spine, but also gets into that lat, that latissimus dorsi. Release that. Unhook the foot. Walk both of your feet a little bit over to the left. I like to kind of use the left bottom corner of my mat as a guide. And then hook your left foot on top of the right one. Grab your right wrist with your left hand. Pull it a little over to the left. Poke your right rib cage out to the right, but make sure both your shoulder blades and hips are on the ground. We're not trying to roll. We want to stay flat. Just make a nice banana shape. So we're breathing into right rib cage. Hoping to get some stretch in that right lat as well. So the more you pull on that right arm, the more you'll feel it. And then come back to the center, unhook the legs, bring your arms down, hug your knees in, and rock side to side. And then go ahead and grab the outside edges of your feet. Take a little bit of happy baby time. So you've primarily been working on thoracic spine, but the whole body gets a little bit of love in all of our practices, right? So just kind of check in with your hips and your glutes and your hamstrings here. And as you're rolling around, you might notice that things feel different in the mid back. And then as you feel like you're ready, go ahead and place your feet on the mat. We're gonna let the knees drop open, soles of the feet together. Have your hands palms down by your hips. And so this is pretty passive here, but what we're gonna do is just one more time, lift the rib cage. So what you're basically doing is pushing the backside of your hips and the back of your head into the floor and lifting the bottom and top part of the rib cage. It's not leaving the floor, it's just getting elevated a little. Take a couple of breaths. And then just like we did in bridge, see if you can fold your shoulder blades underneath you. Now you're even more elevated in the rib cage. 2 more breaths. And then we're going to take the shoulder blades out from underneath us, create lots of space again. Now we're going to flatten the back. As you inhale, press your low back into the mat. So now you're going to feel everything that was just contracted or tightened is now opened and spread. We're creating space. On your next exhale, relax. Allow the pelvis to just go back to neutral. And then one more time, inhale, flatten the back, press your back into the mat. Take 2 more breaths. And the next time you exhale, relax, release, begin to extend your legs, separate your feet. And then I want you to make really sure that you have space between your shoulder blades, space between the shoulders and ears. Let your palms be facing up. Your neck feels long. Your jaw is relaxed. Your eyes are closed. Take a really deep breath in through your nose. And a big exhale through your mouth. Just allow your body to settle down. You can feel your muscles just softening, sinking. You can feel your breath getting slower, gentler, shallower. So when your body's truly relaxed, it needs less oxygen. And so the breath gets a lot shallower. Now, even though your breath has gotten very soft and very gentle, I want you to notice how there's not much mobility when your breath becomes very shallow. However, you'll still feel it in your thoracic spine. As I said earlier, the thoracic spine is where your ribs attach, and your ribs are incredibly important. They protect your vital organs of respiration and circulation. In other words, your lungs and your heart. I like to think of my ribs as just really holding and embracing and protecting those very vulnerable organs. And so even though everything slows down, the ribs will still expand and contract slightly with these gentle breaths. Just let your focus be there. And if you really tune in, you'll feel your breath in all directions. So yes, the ribs will protrude up more. They will expand out sideways, but you can also feel a little bit of additional pressure at your mid-back as you inhale. In other words, you're feeling more pressure against the floor. So for the next few breaths, I want you to just really focus on the sensation in your thoracic area. So that whole rib cage from your collarbone to the bottom of your ribs, front, sides, and back. Just focus on the sensation there. If your mind wanders, just come back to feeling the thoracic spine, the ribs, the lungs, the heart. And then just begin to feel into the rest of your body. Start to deepen your breath. Start to move the fingers and toes. As you're ready, take a deeper breath in, spread your fingers and toes. Exhale with the sigh as you relax them. Deeper inhale as you stretch, 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 and lengthen. And exhale and relax. Bend your knees. Roll to your right side. Press yourself up to sitting. And go ahead and come back into cross-legged if you can. If you need to, legs, of course, can be extended. So just really quick, one more deep side bend. I want you to put your right hand on the ground, slide it out, left hip presses in. Really reach that left arm up and overhead now and poke the left rib cage up. Just notice if things feel less restricted, and then go ahead and come on up and bring that left hand around behind you, right hand on the left knee. Lift your chest and twist. So you're getting that nice thoracic twist. And then you can just slide that left hand over to the side, slide it out, reach the right arm up and over, poke that right rib cage out, stretch, and then bring the right hand around behind you, left hand on the right knee, straight spine, thoracic twist. Come back to the center, hands on the knees, and I want you to do that same gentle inhaling chest forward, exhaling chest back. So it's like a seated cat-cow. Head stays where it's at. In other words, just keep your chin parallel to the floor. Don't let your head whip forward and back. Inhale, rib cage forward. Exhale, rib cage back. And I want you to just kind of compare and contrast. Does it feel easier to do this movement now? Do you feel less restricted around the rib cage? Do you feel more pliable, more flexible, more open? And if not, that is okay. Just check in. One more time here. And then just come back to that same straight aligned spine. Ears over shoulders over hips. Take a moment to check in with the whole package. How's your body? How's your breath? What about your thoughts, your emotions, and your energy? So our breathing today is going to be a little bit different. For our pranayama, we're just going to control where we breathe. So in yoga, we have 3 different types of physical breath that we talk about, and you guys have kind of played with these in a different way. So there's abdominal breathing where the abdomen distends, right? And then there's clavicular breathing, which is what a lot of people do all the time, actually just kind of breathing high up into the chest. But then there's also thoracic breathing. Now I've worked this in for you guys in 3-part breaths, etc. But today We're gonna do only thoracic breathing. So here's how that works. You're gonna slightly pull your navel in and keep it in. This keeps you from doing abdominal breathing, right? With the navel pulled in, you can't distend it out. And we're not gonna move the collarbone. We're gonna keep it very stable. We are literally just gonna breathe in and out of the mid-thorax, right? Thoracic spine, just the rib cage, in and out. So straight spine, navel in, collarbone doesn't move, but I'd like you to do is an ujjayi breath through the nose. Rib cage expands in all directions, rib cage contracts, nothing else moves. True thoracic breathing. One more breath like that. And then for contrast, relax your belly, breathe very deep into the lower abdomen, middle rib cage, and keep breathing in until you feel your collarbone shift, clavicular breathing. And then just exhale slowly through your nose. Let your breathing return to normal. Just pause for a moment. And then let's bring our palms together in front of our hearts and take a moment in gratitude. So it's good to pay attention to your spine, to be grateful for your spine. The bony part of the spine houses your spinal cord, which is, of course, how all of the signals travel both ways from the body to the brain and the brain to the body. And it corresponds to your energy channels in yoga. So when we keep this part of our physical body happy and healthy, it allows everything to flow freely in the energy body. Gratitude that we have the capacity to control where and how we breathe. Your breath is the only involuntary action that you can voluntarily control. How cool is that? Take one more deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Bringing palms together in front of the forehead, we're just reminded to stay present. Bringing palms together in front of the mouth, we're reminded to we're reminded to speak our truth. And bringing palms together in front of the heart, we are reminded to keep our hearts open, to practice kindness, compassion, understanding, and love, and to remember to include ourselves. Thank you guys for joining me today. Namaste.